Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come-to-where-I'm-from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.
We're on? Yes. Episode 123, Come to Where I'm From podcast.
Our guest is...
I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to botch it up again.
Krystyna Hutchinson.
That's me.
Krystyna Hutchinson.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Hutch. Do your friends call you Hutch?
Yep. Hutch.
What a cool
was
nickname.
Hutch was a high school nickname. Yeah. I was way less cool than it sounds.
Oh, really?
Hutch.
Yeah, I was a theater nerd.
What? Before we start, though, do you want a Topo Chico? I feel rude.
Sure. What is that?
It's just a grapefruit
Oh,
flavored
yeah.
Topo Chico.
Sure. I would love a Topo Chico.
From Mexico, you know this?
I did not know that, but thank you very much.
It's a great,
Cheers.
It's a great sparkling water. Cheers.
L'chaim.
Appreciate it.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
You want one?
No, I don't do sparkling. Can't.
Whoa.
I've never... Anything fizzy, I can't do.
Wow, I've never heard that.
I've never
Why?
heard
When
it
I was
either.
a kid, Coke was popular, obviously, and every time I drank it, it would burn my tongue, like the fizziness.
Huh.
And I used to take the Coke bottles, shake them, open, shake, open, and then drink it.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
weird.
unique.
Yeah, I can't do
Very.
anything carbonated.
Wow. You think you know everything, you know?
That's
Yeah.
weird. So
This is very
is
good.
that what gave you the bug to go into it, or what do you think gave you the bug to go into show business?
Having parents who didn't pay enough attention to me.
Okay, I got all that on my
Ding, ding,
notes.
ding, ding, ding.
Are we going straight to ACOA?
Oh,
No contact with the family?
I don't do small talk. I'll
I
get into it. I
know,
don't care.
okay.
You're in a good place for that. He's the same.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you're no contact with them now, huh?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It is. There was some email exchanges that were very friendly. I've been working on myself all quarantine, and I've
Yeah.
been working on realizing what I didn't get that I needed, and then I'm working on not being pissed off about it and just forgiving it.
Right.
You can just choose to forgive. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
hold on.
No, Ho'oponopono is all about that. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. You know that mantra?
No, I don't. But
It's a stunning mantra for exactly this.
Yeah.
Because it's for things that in your own self are just unforgivable.
Yep.
It's for deep betrayal. And if you like practice this mantra, it just releases it. It's
wild.
magical.
I've been on so many wormholes over quarantine.
Right.
Childhood trauma was the first wormhole I really did a deep dive on.
Right.
And understanding how common it is and what's the aftermath in an adult's life if you've experienced childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gone into past life regression
Mm-hmm.
and death is not real, those wormholes. Now I'm on the wormhole of just positive affirmations, and it's really
I'm
effective.
on all those wormholes.
It's really effective.
It's so effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What are your favorite positive affirmation YouTube clips? Is that what it is?
No, I listened to this author, Louise Hay.
Louise Hay. Okay.
She has a warm voice. I need the presence of an older woman that's just purely kind and gentle. That's what I need to reparent myself.
Yeah.
And I listen to her audiobooks. And so I just stare at myself in the mirror when I wake up and I just say, I approve of myself. That's
Yeah.
it. And honestly, that's done more for me than years of therapy.
It's because you're reprogramming your subconscious mind.
Yes, which is more powerful than your conscious mind.
Absolutely. Well, 100%. Yeah, your
Didn't know that
conscious
until
mind is like 5%. Your subconscious. That's why the question of is free will real or not is valid, because we are basically puppeted by our subconscious mind, but we can program our subconscious mind with a lot of effort and a lot of subliminal self-helpy positive stuff.
And if they taught that to us as children in public school,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be running around storming the Capitol. Like,
Right.
I really believe that we could feel a greater sense of inner peace.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, our last guest was Lisa Romano. Have you heard of her? From she does
Lisa A. Romano.
Lisa A. Romano. I mean, you missed. Well, never mind.
Yeah, I know. I missed her name.
I'm talking. I left out a little middle initial, and you're giving me flack. No, but so she's an MPD expert, like narcissistic personality disorder. That's a rabbit hole.
Oh,
and codependency.
Once you realize you were raised by one, you dated one, you were best, you're like, damn it.
Well,
I got tricked.
This is like, because I went no contact with my family of origin for 3 years.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It's hard.
So
you feel like.
As soon as I heard you say that on Are You Garbage podcast, what a great podcast, by the way.
Such a great, I
mean,
agree.
and also, by the way, a great podcast for other podcasters to get their research because it's so funny, but they go deep in a great, funny way, and they like actually give you very much a lot of the origin story in a very funny, fun way.
Yeah, there's a lot of heart to that show. I love those guys. They have a
Great
great
guys.
set. Yeah, I love them.
Shout out, Are You Garbage?
Yes.
But I forgot exactly.
You were gonna say no contact.
Oh,
Narcissistic.
so I went no contact, and I discovered a lot about my origin through a crazy relationship. I started Googling stuff like, what's going on? Why am I a shell of my former self?
Great question.
You know?
I wish more people asked themselves that. There's a lot of walking shells around.
Oh, God. Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's exciting, though, that you're doing all this work, and it's even... I've like reestablished contact with my mother and father, and it's probably, in my view, it's the best we've ever been because I individuated, and because now that level of dysfunction doesn't really affect. I don't sort of see it anymore because my boundaries are. I have these things called boundaries, which took
game changer.
That's a game changer.
That is a game. Well, and it's too, if you have a parent, especially with narcissistic stuff, if you have a parent that views a boundary as how dare you hurt me like that,
right?
You're going to think that that's what a boundary is, and so you're going to be anti-boundaries, and then you're going to realize you bent over backwards for everybody, and you're going to explode.
Boundaries,
right? Well, boundaries.
What is about like I'm trying to wrap my head
personal
around.
boundaries. Like, so if like you say you called me, hey Joe, can you help me clean out the garage? And if you were like this like person who I put all this wild, weird,
expectations,
inappropriate value on or something. Even though I'm busy and I have a bunch of other stuff to do, I would just go do it because your view of me is more important than my view of me.
Right, you put others
your
before yourself.
Your boundary is I'm gonna say no if asked.
No, it's not that general. It's just like if you just putting yourself first is like it's a codependency healing thing, or Ross Rosenberg calls it self-love deficit disorder.
Jeez, yeah, that's good. That's a good name for it. Well, about an example of a boundary is, if you're criticized by your parents all the time and you accept that as okay, a new boundary is, hey, if you're going to just criticize me when we talk, we're not going to talk.
Right.
I love you very much,
so you have
but
to
I'm not
call
going to put
them
up with
out
that.
on it.
You have to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, you stand up for yourself.
It's not calling them out because then you get in the ego thing and it just fucks it all up.
And narcs love, of course.
Yeah.
Narcs love, though there is a child in the room.
I know,
she has headphones.
For shame.
She's way cooler than we'll ever be.
Through Mark Norman, dude, it's fine.
Yeah, she's okay. No, that was well said, though. The way you put it was better than my example.
Well, I've worked a lot on it. And another piece of information I heard from Louise Hay, who is this just gentle woman who had a terrible childhood. I mean, truly, it would have ruined most human beings if they had the childhood that she had. She said, when your parents play games with you, you should no longer participate in it. If you keep participating in these games that they're playing with you, they raised you the best they knew how.
Exactly.
They're not doing this to piss you off.
Right.
You need to come in and say, hey, that's not how I want to communicate with you.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's a new concept.
Champions of my friend. And we'll
Whoa,
keep
Basie.
on fighting till the end. That's the gospel version. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. That's the big transformation in my relationship with them. Is I'm just I'm approaching them as a different being, frankly.
Yep.
It's just I'm a different person.
The ego's down. You're not, when you come at it from a place of love, which doesn't mean you lose.
No.
Like the winning and losing thing, you got to throw that away.
Because also going no contact with a family of origin, it's just, I mean, and for people who just can never go back, God bless you, and but it does leave a permanent hole, and you can
It's
still
lonely
have
and sad.
Yeah,
because I miss them
and
so
because
much.
that connection is so intense.
Yes, yeah, but you can rebuild it and repair it.
You can.
You just got to take time for yourself, though.
But you have to like put it on yourself too. Like you have to like kind of take responsibility for the whole thing, even though you were victimized, even though they were wrong. That's what Ho'oponopono taught me. That mantra specifically.
Yeah. Well, but the whole thing is, if they victimized you or if they did something terrible to you, they parented you the way that they could in that moment.
Right.
They didn't do it to make your adulthood hell.
Exactly.
Which is something I need to keep reminding myself.
Well, one of the best examples of that is the way your mom reacted to the first time you had sex.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's an incredible version of what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you found out
about her past,
right,
and how she was scared, it all came out. It all came out of love. All her reaction that ruined me for a little bit. Ruined me is a little hyperbolic, but it really affected me. But now that grain of understanding that I got when she came on my podcast, the biggest 180 of all time,
incredible,
made me like all of that frustration melt away.
So tell the story though, so people know what we're talking about.
Sure. So when I was
don't send them to the other podcast.
Who doesn't know, he didn't do any research.
When I was 16 is when I had my first boyfriend, and I lost my virginity to him. I was out at a restaurant at 16. It was just me, my mother, my brother's girlfriend, and my grandmother, my dad's mom, who had recently suffered a stroke. So she was just had the brain of a kid. And so we were all out to dinner, and there was a conversation, and my mom basically asked me if I was still a virgin, and I didn't want to lie to her, so I said no. And she got up and walked away, and my dad had to pick me up, and she didn't talk to me for a very long time, and that was it. Like, I didn't talk about it. I didn't know that was weird. I was sad and upset, but I thought okay, sex is a bad thing. It makes my family abandon me. Mm-hmm. So then I had her on the podcast that I hid from her for as long as I possibly could, until it was
Guys
inevitable.
We Fucked.
We Fucked.
I almost called Are We Fucking? No, I don't know.
Are we fucking or what?
It's Guys We Fucked.
That's the upcoming.
Like, Are We Fucking?
All the guests we want to fuck.
That's pretty much every podcast. Right. So she came on the podcast and ended up telling me that when she was 11, she was like almost 6 feet tall, thin, blonde hair, blue eye, model looking woman at 11 years old. And she had gotten sexually harassed and assaulted a few times. And so when she learned that I was sexually active as a teenager, she was just so terrified that would happen to me that she collapsed and she couldn't talk to me. And just we interviewed her when she told me that, and I was like, oh, wow. Doesn't that all make sense now? Okay. And it's understandable. Like, people aren't born with the tools because we don't talk about the tools.
Right. And we're all dysfunctional. But Freud says the needs of the child can't possibly be met by the parents. So dysfunction is hardwired into the human condition.
The family structure.
Yeah, it's hardwired in. So we're supposed to be working through dysfunctions on this plane of existence for whatever reason.
I agree, and I think that that's the point of living on Earth.
Yeah.
What do you got to learn?
That's what it is. So what do you think it is about podcasting that gets into deep reveals like that, or those kind of weird therapeutic reveals?
When else would you have the conversation? The nature of Guys We Fucked is we wanted to interview the men that we've had sex with, the men that we have been physically the most intimate with, more than any other human being on this planet. And we would only ever have that conversation if we had a podcast that was themed around that. Right. And we really wanted to have those conversations. We were curious about did we get it wrong? Did we have the similar view of how the relationship went and ended? And there's certain things where you just kind of make a podcast for it, and you can have an excuse to have that conversation. If I were to call the guys that I've slept with and be like, hey, you want to meet for lunch? They'd be like, no, you weirdo. Like, you're going to stalk me? What's happening? So, yeah. Just an excuse
What
to
do you
have
do
these.
when you run out of guys and you're
That you
X
fuck.
amount of episodes in?
She never does. No, just
No,
kidding.
I haven't had sex in a year. I'm like a born
Right.
again virgin.
I'm a born again virgin too. I'm over here retaining.
It's good to yeah. I've just been doing deep dives in
I'm
here.
doing deep dives.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I need to work.
Yeah, that's good because I feel like it's very rare that men do that, and it's nice to hear.
I'm on a water fast right now, in fact.
Water fast?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like just nothing but water for
And
to
Chico?
clean. Yeah, well, that's his water still.
It's true.
It's got a little flavor, but
Yeah.
if you look at the thing, 0 calories.
Oh, that's good. So you just drink water all day?
Well,
Yeah.
he's 8 days into it,
8
so it's
days
a
into it.
little.
Just water.
Just
Not an
water.
ounce of food.
No food. No, but you're not even hungry after 3 days. So
Right.
It's
Until
easy.
you die.
And you're
Yeah.
That's what I
How
tell
long
him.
do you
That's
do
what I
it
tell
for?
him. When are you gonna die?
when you get
puppy?
hungry.
You're not hungry yet?
Nah, like your
Wow.
body.
I'm not a
does-
hungry person, so maybe
No,
I
I'm a starving person.
Oh.
I eat tons. I love food, but like your body does all this internal repair, autophagy and stem cells, and then starts actually rebuilding your organs and crazy shit. It's
Wow.
a really amazing thing to do. It's like so rewarding, and then you get into spirit stuff, and you're like talking to God and yeah, and
Wow.
seeing angels and.
Well, because you're so.
Don't forget the
you're
disclaimer,
famished.
Joe. I am not.
But
a
I am
physician.
not a physician. I am
So
not a
you have
medical
not had
practitioner.
anything to eat in how many days?
8 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't have headaches?
No, I feel great. I quit coffee on it. I quit nicotine on it. I
I gotta
stopped
do those
going
two
to
things.
a kava bar all the time.
Okay.
I was going to kava all the time, and I was in
shots?
bad habits.
Yeah.
Dopamine on dumb things.
Yeah.
And if you reset your dopamine, then you start like achieving your goals by. Dopamine suddenly is like when you're just making a painting or doing something.
doing
creative.
something, yeah. I'm trying to reset that with. I got a couple
Yeah.
caterpillars that I've been watching them. They just turned into butterflies,
Wow.
and that's more interesting than any computer, any television show I could ever watch. Like that is just you watch these little tiny little worms, well, not worms, caterpillars.
That's a metaphor for you and me.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
turning into butterflies.
Yeah. Cheers.
What led you to that? That's awesome. I love butterflies.
My friend bought her daughter a couple caterpillars, and she put it on Instagram, and I was like, "Where can I get those?"
Yeah, where do you buy that?
Yeah,
Wow.
on the internet.
And so what led to this deep dive besides like the obvious stuff like just
Wanting to
living
die?
Yeah.
Yeah, not being happy,
Right.
and I love being happy, like everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
A sad comedian.
And also just not dating. I've never not dated before. I really like this. I like this time alone. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
I'll be thankful that I did this for the rest of my life.
Dating yourself.
Yep. But like actually.
Right.
And you can actually get to the point, and I swear to God this is true, as someone who was like boy crazy person and always pursuing somebody or always wanting, being pursued or just always having something. It is really, you can get the feelings you get when you're like madly in love with someone with yourself. And I know that sounds nuts, but you really can.
I feel that lately, like
Yeah.
in the last little bit, doing this fast and stuff, because I'm so happy that I'm finally not doing bullshit, self-destructive shit.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
It like makes you like, and it's really easier than people would think to like shift, because the thing you don't know when you're locked into your weird self-destructive things is that as soon as you like shift a little bit, there's a momentum automatically behind you of like this pride that kicks
So
in.
exciting. You're
It's
like, oh my God,
exciting.
I did it.
Oh my God, I'm like actually doing this thing that's been like haunting me forever. I'm finally
Conquered the beast.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just feels better and better and better, and then like pretty soon you feel ecstatic about it.
Yeah. And your life is consisting of all these simple things and not getting fucked up and, doing blow until 5 a.m. and then going home and sleeping
How
an
long
hour.
into being alone did that feeling start kicking in?
6 months.
Oh,
It
okay.
took a
So it
while.
took a minute.
I was very sad for a while.
Right.
What are the things you do in that space that is like leading to more self-development? Like, is it meditation, exercise,
Meditation is something
therapy?
Oh yeah, all that, all 3 of those things. Yes. Meditation I've been wanting to do. I've been beating myself up about doing it for years. I finally, when quarantine started, I meditated every day
Yeah.
in quarantine, sometimes multiple times a day. And that's a good reset. I've been exercising. I rollerblade. I really love rollerblading, and I work out with a trainer. I've been doing that. And my next trick, I'm gonna try to not eat shit, like not eat junk food.
3-day water fast.
Yeah,
that'll do
3 days I could do.
3 days is easy. Well, actually, that's the hard part, to be honest. It's
Right.
it's easy where I'm at right now, even though that sounds counterintuitive because it seems crazy.
Your body gets used to it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like that's the best way to reset your diet because after 3 days, like a piece of broccoli sounds amazing.
Right. You get excited about a
It's
tomato
like
slice.
Yeah, like an
About
almond.
water.
Are you kidding me?
Well, and I got to a point in quarantine where like at night I would make myself a cup of tea
Right.
and I would buy a lemon and I would cut it and I would stare at the lemon and I'm like, this is a work of art.
Right.
A lemon is a work of art.
Absolutely.
And you get to this place where you can really appreciate something that simple. That's not really that simple.
Right.
You reset your dopamine levels.
Yeah, and then from going towards thinking a lemon is a work of art, God questions have to come in there
course.
soon. Do you use prayer as well?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I meditate
Yeah.
and when I think about what I want in my life and what I want for others. Yeah. Yeah.
Me too. I'm heavy into it.
Yeah.
I love it, especially like
It feels good.
it really does. And yeah, that meditation is a complete like it's just such a break. It's like it's a relief more than a discipline
Yes.
to
Yep.
get out of just identifying with thought forms all the time.
And you could always have that quiet place to come back to, even if you're out and about going about your day.
Yeah. Have you ever had any like guests on the guys? Like, how many of them have gotten like super awkward on guys? We fucked?
A lot.
Like, have you had
lot.
ones you expected would be, oh, this one's gonna be fun, and then it went south?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, we've had a guy. The second ever guest was a guy. We gave him a fake name, Nico. He was the second guest on the podcast.
You fake named him Nico?
Yeah, he didn't want to reveal. He wasn't an entertainer. He wasn't in entertainment.
Okay.
He didn't want to be public at all.
Right.
But that's the other thing about having it as a podcast. That's the beauty of it. We didn't have video, so you could be anonymous and do a fake name. That guy, he's one of those guys where I'll always have chemistry with him, always. And I hadn't seen him in years, and that episode was the first time I saw him in a while. And Corrine was like, "Do you want me to leave?" Jesus Christ.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was nice.
So that's where it went kind of north, not south.
No, yeah, that went north. Yeah, that didn't go south.
That's like-
I'm glass half full. Mine never went. Oh no, when I had my ex-boyfriend on of 7 years while we were dating, we had him on, and him and Corrine butted heads, and I was very protective of him because I loved him and I didn't ever want to see anything bad about him. So him and Corrine did not get along, and they butted heads on the podcast, and I got so uncomfortable. I just kind of like looked
What
at the
about?
floor. He's his character. Well, how do I want to say this?
Is
Because I'm like a
questionable?
new person now, and I'm not going to trash talk people.
Right.
But I'll give you an example of one of his actions.
That's gonna be tough on your comedy gig in a way.
Oh no! When I do stand up, I'll shit talk you to
slay.
death.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fun. It's for the purposes of comedy.
Right.
He. I know no one acts the best when they get dumped, but he sued me and Corrine for over $100,000 after I broke up with him. So like that'll tell you some
That's
stuff.
not a
You
good
can make
one.
your own conclusions.
Because of
Right.
the pod?
Because of the pod.
Yeah, because he wanted like double the pay for everything we already paid for, and he was my boyfriend, so he would do videos for free for us. Sometimes he was very, very talented,
Oh.
extremely talented, but his attitude, such a bad attitude that I think it prevented him from excelling. But he was really good at what he did, so he would do these projects for Crit and I. And at the beginning we were broke, so we didn't pay him, and he was okay with that, or I would say like, we'll pay you when we have money, I'm sorry, that kind of thing. But our relationship was we loved each other a lot.
Well,
So,
7 years, that's
a lot,
That's
yeah.
a marriage.
Yeah, it felt like it. It felt like it.
Yeah.
So, but when he tried to sue us, I was like, God damn, I'm glad I didn't get married. I would have had to owe him, because when I started dating him, I was dirt poor, like very broke. I could barely.
That's so funny.
All my paycheck went to rent, and by the time we broke up, I was able to
Yeah, but
be independent.
You said on the Bobby Lee podcast that I've checked some of your podcasts.
That's
out.
great.
That's another great.
I
oh my
love
god,
him and his girlfriend
That's the best.
best.
They're the great. That's
They're
like,
a great couple.
They are, and that's a great show, and
Yeah.
your episode was great.
Thank you.
Texted that to Aiden. I was like, dude, this podcast is great.
Yeah.
I like Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
I love Bobby Lee.
Shout out Bobby Lee.
He's so funny.
He's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Because you said on that one that he had even a problem of you paying for dinner.
Yeah.
So that's
'cause
weird
he
to
was
come
mad.
and sue you for 100
Isn't
G's
it?
later. That's like,
Isn't it? Yeah.
that doesn't make no sense.
I would agree.
I'll take that check for the dinner now, please.
You know
Yeah.
what? Why didn't you just let me? You should have
I
just said, you know what? Why didn't you just let me pay for a couple dinners?
Right.
Why are you doing this?
Right. Yeah. I think too, though, I didn't know how to set a boundary. That relationship was very codependent, and I take absolute responsibility for my part in it.
You have healed.
I had no idea that any of the, like, I just didn't know to stand up for myself. I didn't know how. I didn't know when it was appropriate. I didn't know where I ended and he began.
Right.
So we did the best we could. And honestly, when I think back at like the quality of our relationship while we were in it, it was really nice and fun.
Yeah.
We got along really well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was
What
23
ages?
when we
so
started
young.
dating.
This is
Yeah,
a young
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, I was 23 and he was 30.
Do you think you want to have kids someday?
No, I think I'd have to meet somebody to want to have a kid, but
Right.
I really want to adopt. My mom was adopted, and I just feel like that makes more sense. And I'm so well versed in childhood trauma that I think I would be a really good parent to an adopted child.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing to think.
Yeah.
That would be great to do.
Yeah.
Because I think to make a relationship last for like the long, long haul, there has to be a kid. Or else you just go.
Well,
No, because or else you just go in at each other too much. It's
Well, but
too
then-
well,
much.
which
like
leads me
it's-
to this thing of like, are relationships healthy? I don't know.
Right. Well, they are if there's a
If there's a kid.
If there's a kid, then it's for them. Then you can. But like it takes a little focus.
But then you're
off-
putting. But my theory is I don't want the kid to be more important than my
It's a
commitment to the
catch-22,
person.
guys. It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the guy with
He's
the
the
kid,
guy that knows.
because you also don't want the relationship just to sustain
Right.
because of the kid.
That's not fair to the
Well,
kid.
Because
no.
a lot of people stay together because
My
of the
parents
kids.
did. My parents
and then,
did, and
and then it's
damaged.
just like
Yeah.
you just got to be ready to sacrifice
my brother
everything.
my brother has a son, and him and the mother of his son broke up pretty early on. They are the best co-parents. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah.
And so my nephew gets two parents that love each other.
Oh, that's
they
cool.
love him.
Co-parenting works.
It is. I'm honestly. I
from
watched
friends of mine who've done it.
I watched them do it, and I was like, I think that's like how I'd want to parent. I'd want to adopt a kid, or maybe have a kid with a gay guy or somebody that we would never be together, and we could both just be in it for the well-being of the kid and just co-parent together. That sounds great.
You have to vet them really well.
Very well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Really
That's-
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool theory. I like that.
Because then you're actually putting a person in. You're helping to raise a person that's a good person in society that you can
Yeah.
raise to be an activist, raise to question things, raise to seek justice, all that stuff.
Yeah, because somebody told me this pyramid thing, like where a relationship's like a pyramid, where if you're both just like on this plane and looking at each other, it's like you're gonna clash. But if you both are striving for like a higher purpose, like raising a kid or something, or
Yeah.
maybe it could be other things, then you create this pyramid and meet up here.
What happens up
Yeah.
there, Papi?
I don't know.
What happens
Then
at
you
the
reach
top?
nirvana.
Then you divorce. I don't know.
But you're happy, so it's
But
fine.
you're happy and you've become
You know what they say?
enlightened.
What goes up must come down.
That's cool. So, tell me about Dwell.
Oh,
That-
that's my short film.
Yeah, your short film.
Yeah.
She rollerblades
You,
there.
you wrote.
I did rollerblade.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I love rollerblade.
That's what I thought when she said she rollerbladed.
Yeah, I wrote that. That was like filming that. I wrote and starred in a short film because I majored in acting. I got a BFA in acting. I wanted to be a movie actress since I was a child.
Right.
That was really the initial goal with me, and I still want to do that. So I wasn't getting auditions, and so I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm going to make my own movie. And it was my first short, and I'm very proud of it. It was basically healing from that breakup of 7 years, and and not understanding that you have to go inside yourself and not seek the dopamine or the feeling better about yourself through drugs or friends. Mm-hmm. You just have to go to the desert, die, and come back.
Yeah, it's a drama too. It's not really. I wouldn't call it a comedy.
No, yeah, it's not. I went
Yeah.
for it
So
to be
it's
a
a
comedy.
true story. The guy in there
Yeah.
with you that's
Yeah.
your breakup story.
Yeah, yeah. And
Now
I'm
it makes more sense.
I'm
to
working
me.
on another film now that's a horror film that or a psychological horror about childhood trauma. I'm so excited about it because it's more there's a lot of metaphors and stuff in it.
Wow.
It's not so direct.
That's a great idea.
We're starting to film it this spring. So
Congrats.
thank you.
Is it you writing and directing?
I don't direct it. I just write and star in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What's that going to be called, or you're not giving that away yet?
I think it's going to be called The Tower.
The Tower.
Yeah. It's very, childhood trauma, man. Most people have it. And I wish that, more people had access to the information about it.
Well, they can't. I mean, YouTube is a wonderland of info on that stuff.
I just wish schools covered it.
Yeah.
I wish that it was put in the topic was put in front of kids.
Yeah.
And put in front of parents so they can understand how they affect each other.
More mainstream.
Or so they were made aware of why they're constantly distracting themselves into zombiehood.
Yes, because if you're not aware of that, that really that just hacks up your self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
If you behave in ways that you don't logically want to be behaving in,
Right.
which is a factor or a side effect of having trauma, you don't understand it, you just get mad at yourself.
Right.
Because who else are you going to get mad at?
Well, when you don't respect yourself anymore, that's when you're in a dangerous place.
Yep.
Yeah, because you were talking about you went to some ACOA meetings too, right? Or adult child of dysfunction.
Alcoholic dysfunctional families.
Yeah. Those are really good.
Those are like New York, they're so New York, those meetings. Because it's everybody from every age, income, race, gender, it's just a sampling of New York City, and they all have something very serious in common. It's really cool.
Yeah, you get a lot of benefit when you just hear other people share their problems. It fuels a spiritual connection when you realize, oh, that's what we're all doing here. Everyone's dealing with stuff, and some people are dealing with crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. You know,
and they need to be made. They need to know that they're dealing with a lot.
Yeah,
and they're doing a good job. They're doing the best they can.
You should check out Ross Rosenberg on YouTube.
Okay.
He's a codependency expert, and Lisa A. Romano, who's the last one we had on the podcast.
I'll have to check her out.
Yeah,
I love these topics because they're
you would
so
love
common.
her. You would love her.
Yeah,
Episode drops next week.
Oh, nice.
Her whole thing is and when I was going through my dark night of the soul with all this, her whole thing is I am enough.
Yeah,
and I wrote that on my mirror. I am enough.
Yes.
I did.
No, it's
just
so
you need it.
Yes, you do, and it feels really good to say.
Yeah.
To yourself.
Yeah.
And you develop this trust with yourself that could carry you anywhere you want to go.
Yeah. So what's up with the new podcast, Voices in Our Head?
That's it's my solo podcast where it's kind of this hero's journey of going into
More
the
serious.
desert, and it's a comedy. No, it's funny because I it's basically my coping mechanism, how I make light of really bad things that happen and to me and to other people, and it's just a documentation of the work I've done on myself is this podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks.
That's a great idea.
I'm really proud of this podcast. Yeah,
I like
I'm really
the
proud
title
of it.
too.
Thank you.
How long has that been going on?
About a little over a year.
Ever since you ran out of the guys for the other podcast. I had to.
No, but yeah.
So is it a monologue or do you have guests on?
I don't have. I've had a couple guests on, but it's mainly just me. I do a lot of weird voices, a lot of cartoon voices, a lot of just. I let my weird flag fly high in this podcast.
I need to try that.
You tape it home when you
Yep.
do that?
Audio
The
only?
comfort.
Yep.
Right, so you can go crazy.
Yeah, because when it's just me and a microphone, it's more intimate.
Right. Why do you think that is?
Because I don't have to worry about is the camera picking. I don't give a shit about a camera or anybody else in the room because it's just me. Mm-hmm. So you're really just talking to yourself.
Yeah. That's cool. I want to hear. I want to hear it. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I'm
So
proud.
that's
I'm proud of the solo podcast.
Going through codependency issues, family of origin,
addiction, codependency, dealing with finding out you're a sperm donor baby.
You were?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just
So
my
you're-
life is so interesting and weird, and in a way that I really love because it's not boring.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Did that make a difference? Like when you find that out, what goes through your head? That's a weird one.
It feels like you got hit by a truck, but it's not good or bad. If anything, my parents really wanted me to be here. So honestly, I think it's something very special, and I sympathize or empathize with why they didn't tell me or they didn't want to tell me. I completely understand, and that's okay. And then the funny part is I have all these half siblings all around the country because he was a sperm donor. So he donated a bunch of sperm. Right. And it's just like every couple weeks I get an email saying all these, here are new half siblings on 23andMe. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They can track that?
Yeah, because that's how I found out.
What
I did
is 23andMe?
It's a DNA thing. DNA
So
genealogy.
they never volunteered that information.
Correct.
Wow. So when you found out, did you confront them?
Well, I thought it was a joke. I had 2 women email me message me on that app saying, "Oh, we're half sisters." One woman said, "I was raised by him. If you have any questions," and then another woman said, "Oh, you're a sperm donor baby too?" And I was like,
"You know where?"
I was like, "No, this is weird. This is probably a mix-up."
There had
Or maybe
to be
my
a
uncle.
subconscious though that you submitted DNA to that. Why would you do that?
Because my mom was adopted, and we never knew much about her family. And ironically, my brother my whole life, I have an older brother. He always told me I was the mailman's baby. He joked with me because I don't look like anybody in my family.
Because of that subconscious stuff, though. Like, he's on to something. Like, somewhere you knew, and somewhere
Maybe.
your brother knew
Yeah,
too.
it
Like,
was
that's this.
I really didn't look like. But then I looked up the name of the sperm donor. Don't look like him either. And I was like, interesting. Interesting. But yeah, you're right. I think there was something in the subconscious.
What was it like when you confronted your parents on that?
I thought it was a joke, so I ended up filming myself calling my mom.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Because I thought it was. I was like, guys, I'm gonna find out my family's not my biological family.
Right.
And then I asked my mom, and she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Holy shit.
Who told you?
Yeah. Well, she knew I was doing the 23andMe. She's like, "I knew you were gonna know." I'm like, it's fine.
Wow. So did it feel like betrayal?
No, not at all. No. They really wanted me to be here.
Yeah.
I think I was very, if anything, honestly, I really mean this, I respect my parents more. That's really.
Well, but your mother still carried the pregnancy, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So it's right. So it's okay.
But my dad raised
adopted.
me.
She was
Yeah, no, but like there could be a sperm donor with an egg from someone else.
Right.
And
it wasn't that.
Right.
But yeah, but also my whole thing too is like we don't gotta carry these secrets with us and feel so guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
You could have told me, and I would have been like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
So
I found out I have a half brother when I was like 26.
Nice.
For instance.
That's fun.
I'm from Ohio, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're from Philly.
Yes.
So if I was ever on Are You Garbage, I think I would probably be considered.
You would qualify. Yeah.
I think I would.
Yeah. Ohio.
Safely, like pretty much.
That Wawa is not like. Can you show it? Because it's not like you put the letters Wawa under there. You just put the logo.
Yeah.
So somebody who's not from the area could be, oh, that's a nice goose or duck.
Right.
So it's not.
If you get it, if you
you're
know,
not
you
that
know.
trashy with the Wawa thing.
Well, no, I would rather somebody recognize the logo than read it and go, oh yeah, Wawa, because then you really get it.
Is that
you
about
get Wawa
Philly
culture.
pride?
Philly pride, Wawa, it was always just a part of. I would go drive to the parking lot of a Wawa during most family holidays when I was so stressed out and I wanted to scream and I just had to get away and I wanted to smoke a cigarette and I didn't want my parents to know I smoked.
Right.
So I made up an excuse to get something at Wawa and I would just be in this parking lot on Thanksgiving night because it was the only place that was open, smoking a cigarette, and I looked to my left and right and there's all these men in their cars doing the exact same thing, getting away from their families.
That's funny.
And it was just this camaraderie in this Wawa parking lot of like, this is the only place we have to go.
That's a skit right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's more than just, Wawa.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Wawa is like if a 7-Eleven was fancy. Like they have good food in there. Like if you're a road musician and you see a Wawa,
Wawa or Sheets, it's always
you stop and you like order up because it's like, oh, this is actually good.
Yeah. You always know what you're gonna get, and it's always great.
Yeah.
And they're gobbler. Oh my god.
Man.
I love Wawa. Could talk about it all day.
And what happened with your friend that you got a matching tattoo with? that you fell out with?
Oh yeah, we stopped talking. I think that was another example of a relationship that maybe became codependent, and I take a lot of responsibility in that. It's just one of those things where you realize, oh, we don't fit anymore. We're not good friends anymore.
Right.
For each
but
other.
she like messed up your relationship with your mom?
No, not at all. No,
You said that on a podcast.
She messed up. No, she didn't mess it up. She would point out things that were between my mom and I, where I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, Krystyna. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Oh, she planted poison seeds.
No, she pointed, not at all. She's a good person.
Right.
She just pointed out things that I didn't understand. So that was all good. I just think that I was being criticized. It felt to me like she took, whenever I did something that was against my own best interest, whether it was like smoke cigarettes or whatever. That's just an example. She didn't actually get mad at that, but I feel like she took it personally, and it was too much. And I felt that way with my mom too. I felt like I had a similar feeling with the way my mom reacted to me. So yeah, it's just one of those things where you're friends for so long, and it's hard to take a step back and go, oh, this isn't good right now. This is just not, a friendship shouldn't be this stressful and upsetting.
Right.
And friendship should be supportive and loving, and hey, we all fuck up. Like, I got you. You know, that's the kind of friendship I want.
Has the work you've done over the last year made you more forgiving of that whole situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has allowed me to find where I have responsibility in that relationship.
Right. Yeah. I'm in a very similar space because I like had a major revelation of all this dysfunction. I went totally rogue, like, you know, just like went no contact with so many people, and then now I've come to a place where I see it very differently, you know, and I love all of them. Yep. Not all of them are back in my life, but I'm not holding any resentment towards anyone.
It's I'm in the same spot.
I love that.
I'm very happy that friend I heard recently that she got engaged, and I was like, I'm so happy. Like, genuinely, I was like, oh, that's so wonderful. Like, I really, and that's a testament to kind of where I'm at, and if I actually mean it, you know, that's how I prove to myself, like, oh yeah, you actually mean this. You're not just faking it because you think this is the better choice.
Yeah. What about your siblings? How have they responded to their upbringing and all that stuff? Or how are you guys different, and how are you the same?
So I have an older brother who I'm very close with. We actually got very close with each other, especially lately. He's 8 years older than me. He's the only other person that was raised by the same people as me. So we have a bond that is forever a huge help in both of our lives. Because we each got different versions of our parents because we're 8 years apart. So That's
interesting.
Yeah, we talk hours at a time. He's going through a breakup at the moment that was really upsetting, and I was like, DJ, this is my bread and butter, giving people advice on breakups. I wrote a book on it. Like, I got you. I know. I'll send you all the YouTube videos, and I talked to him about all these concepts that I've collected throughout this 8 years. I've been doing this 7 years, and I've been like really helping him through his breakup. And also as a result of that, we're just bonding because we'll talk for like 3 hours at a time. So I love my brother. It's so important for me to have somebody else who gets it.
What's he do?
He is a chemist, works for a company that does water filtration, basically. I don't really know. He's smarter than me, so I don't really know what the terminology is, but he's a chemist.
And just the one brother? Mm-hmm. When you went no contact, was he like, hey, what are you doing? Or did he understand?
He understood because he did that as well. There was a year that he didn't talk to our parents. Yeah.
Because usually dysfunctional childhood relationships with siblings, there's always a golden child and a scapegoat and stuff.
Yeah, we flip those roles though. We switch roles with that. And also my brother and I are just so chill and so like, and we both really want to better ourselves. We're both very invested in finding our own solutions to our own happiness, right. And because partially too because the way our parents raised us. I mean, my brother and I really do believe are very good people, and that's not for nothing. I mean, that is a testament to our parents' integrity and morals.
Right. So they're good people.
Yeah, they are.
That's cool. So now there's friendly emails, and it's like the bridge over troubled waters is being built.
Starting to be built, yeah. That's a good
nice.
spot, yeah.
Yeah. And are you closer to your mom or your dad?
My mom.
Do you think biology has something to do with that?
No, I really love my dad. I think my dad's a really good guy. I really respect him, and I respect both of them. And now I can, especially since I took this much needed time away from them, and I had to block their phone numbers so that I couldn't allow them to contact me, just so I could get my head straight. And it really has allowed me to take a step back and go, yeah, they're pretty good people. They're good. They did the best they could.
Yeah. I have the same feeling.
Yeah. Because some people, I really do believe, I've heard stories, shouldn't talk to their parents ever again. Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's not, I always want to preface that because I feel like a lot of people tend to feel guilt for not talking to their parents.
Oh,
but
it's horrible.
A lot of times it's necessary.
Even if you shouldn't, you're going to feel guilt. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Guilt is such a pointless emotion.
Yeah. It sucks.
Pointless.
Sucks the life and the joy out of everything.
Yeah. And if you do something out of guilt, or if you don't do something so you won't feel guilty, that's never good. Yeah. If guilt has any role in your decision making, it's not good.
Yeah. And toxic shame.
Yep.
That's another killer.
Oh yeah. That's a huge killer. And the America, man. Oh man, I've just been really learning about just how racism is it's such a gross, manipulative, anti-human thing. And I'm watching this Netflix docuseries called Amend. I cannot recommend it enough. It's educating you about the Constitution and the amendments that actually are. The 14th Amendment is so much more important than it's talked about, because it's the basis of gender equality, racial equality, marriage equality, all that. And you really realize
the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, it's all equal treatment under the law. We all have the right to equal treatment. Is this the essence of that? And oh my God, I learned the other day. I'm like, are you kidding me? Harry Anslinger, who was head of what is now called the DEA, Drug Enforcement, and Nixon, he added the J in marijuana to make it sound more Mexican, so that they could deem it as a way to be anti-Mexican, like and then jazz. They equated it with black people and Mexican people, and I'm like, are you fucking? That is so gross and manipulative. Yeah.
Well, how would you spell jazz without a J, though?
No. Marijuana, the J in marijuana, not jazz. Sorry.
Then you said and jazz, and I'm like, well, what was it called? As?
No.
I mean, it used to be called as. I've never heard that. It's so close to ass.
I'm very caffeinated and I speak too fast. But no. So they tried to basically use it against black people and against Mexican people by associating it with jazz music or putting the J in to make it sound Mexican.
Well, associating it with jazz music accidentally promoted it, and associating with Mexicans accidentally promoted it too, from my point of view.
But also too, when you smoke weed, you're not like, I would never be worried by a person who is stoned. No. Ever. I'm not worried they're going to take anything from me. I'm not worried they're going to kill me. I'm not worried they're going to be violent.
Right.
Ever.
The J just made it difficult to spell, for crying out loud.
Right.
Marijuana.
But it's just like,
where does the J go?
How did it used to be spelled?
With an H.
With an H.
Yeah. Marijuana.
Let's put a J. I mean, that's a reach, though. Like, that's some weird programming. That's a weird programming
it's this
reach.
Manipulative.
But it's like, I never once thought, Mexican when I saw the J.
Right. Oh, really? It sounded like a Spanish word.
It sounds like a fajita.
Right, exactly.
I'm from Ohio.
Fajita. Isn't fajita with a J?
Yes, it is.
Fajita, yeah. Fajita.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jesus. The J is an H sound. But I'm like, the amount of dedication you must have to make it so that these people will think badly of these people by changing the spell. I'm just like, Jesus.
But how did it pass?
Divide and conquer.
I don't know. They think they just started spelling it like that.
Just like
they just started doing it.
There'd be an outrage if you changed the word all of a sudden and swapped the letter. Everyone would be like, "Dude, come on."
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, because we're all talking about things more and we understand. We can catch things.
Yeah. It's
just like bizarre things like that. I'm like, damn.
That's crazy.
That's some deep manipulation.
Yeah. What about like freedom of speech lately is being kind of sort of trampled upon to a large degree? What's your feelings about that, especially being a comedian?
Yeah. Freedom of speech is, well, I think that I'm understanding more. I got into, you might know this author, Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements.
Yeah.
Being impeccable with your word.
Yeah. Never take anything personal.
Yes. That's
One of the other ones. Always
that'll
do
make
your
everyone
best.
less douchey. Yeah.
Yeah. And be impeccable.
Don't make assumptions.
Yeah. Those are all really difficult.
And being, yes.
Are there other options?
Those are
That's it.
almost impossible. No, I'm just kidding.
It's seemingly
but it is
impossible.
great. Yeah.
But the whole impeccability with your word, the
Right.
word is all we have, right? And with stand-up, I'm really obsessed with word economy.
Right.
I really admire stand-ups who go on stage and every single word of their set is planned out and
Mark
put there
Norman is like
meticulously.
that.
He's
a
exactly like that.
Great example.
I
of
am
that.
not a good example of that at all, but I really admire that, and I want to incorporate that more into my stand-up. So really, with speech, that's where I'm at with it now. Of like, think one more second about how you want to word things, and if it's really capturing the idea that you want to impart on the audience. Obviously, the way they take it is on them, but do your best to communicate it. Give it your best shot to figure out how to communicate it. And just with social media now, we're just butchering words and making them mean something else. And I'm like, oh God, I wish I have all these books about like World War II vets writing letters to their wives while they're overseas and how beautifully said these sentiments were. And I'm like, man, I do this thing on my Instagram called Fuckboy Friday, where I'll do people send me screenshots of DMs they get from guys on dating apps. And they're just atrocious. I mean, just the scum of humanity. And it's great fodder for comedy, but I'll do like a theatrical reading of them. And it's just, every time I do them, I think about how, these love letters that were written in the 50s were just such beautiful gestures that I'm like, what is that now?
You up?
That's the
it.
That's the dopamine detox on like some weird social level, because it used to be your only option was pen and paper and the sea. I'm out in the sea for months away and I have this pen and paper. So what are you going to do? You're going to craft a beautiful letter. Now you have this. You're like, no, there's a million things. But now I see a hot girl. Oh, that reminds me of this. Now I'm just going to write a quick little text. And then the DM's going to be like, just the laziest bullshit ever.
And you're not in your actual interactions.
Yeah, it's just like, that's an example of it. It's just like we're in a way, okay, I get it. They're like douchey or whatever. But in another level, you could forgive them because they're just victims of this. They're victims of like, when you're out at sea for 2 months and all you have is like one piece of paper and a pencil that you have to like sharpen with your mouth.
Right. You're gonna be careful about what your words are. Because you don't have a lot of, you're the lead and the pencil will only get you so far.
It's so valuable.
Yes, and so,
and you're running out of lead too, so every word counts.
Right.
It's like,
and how cool is that? But yes, I
then
think
you have to
that
start using your own blood. I mean,
in
come
a quill
on.
pen. Pluck a seagull and use your own.
Of course, they're going to be great.
But I do think we're all victims of the system, but you're also choosing to victimize yourself in a way where you could take a step back if it's important to you to communicate fully and go, what does that look like for me? I don't want to be in the system. It doesn't feel good. So when something doesn't feel good, recognizing it right away and making adjustments. So you can, I really adjusted the way that I ingest my phone.
Yeah. Oh,
over
yeah.
quarantine.
How, like, just tech detox.
I only have certain times of the day. I have my notifications. You cannot reach me by phone call or text until like noon every day because I don't want to hear from you yet.
Only a homing pigeon before noon.
Yep.
That's like John Lester. Don't call him on Wednesdays or Fridays.
I mean, you
He's
can.
not
I just
gonna
won't get
answer.
it.
Yeah.
I just won't get it. That's fine. I'll get it when I'm
Mine's
ready.
on silent all the time.
Yeah.
Be funny if it went ding right now.
Fucking fake
Come
ass
on, where
liar.
are you for me? I've set you up. No, but what do you think it is about you that is brave with your reveal and that nature of certain people are just so like, whatever, here's what I did, and I don't like, and others of us are like, I'm a little afraid.
Afraid of what?
just being judged or whatever, or like, or what's your?
I've already been judged. I've already had, the worst things you could say to me, years ago have already been said to me, said to me about me. I've been dragged on the internet for stuff. I've received rape threats, death threats on Twitter. I mean, if you're a woman, that's kind of part of the game.
That's nuts.
If you're in any way public, I've had people tweet at me a picture of my apartment building, and I'm like, oh, that's not fun. Okay, that's actually where I live.
That's weird.
Yeah, but once all that's happened, and you're like, holy shit, and then you go, wait, what do I care about? Okay, my safety is important to me. How can I ensure this? What matters to me? You realize that giving a shit about what other people think or do or say about you that's their business.
Mm-hmm. And someone's always going to hate you no matter what you do.
Yeah, and if no one hates you, you're not doing it right.
And you're not doing anything.
You have to. That's why this show Men's on Netflix really was inspiring in that there's always going to be opposition to equal rights for anybody, right? And there's all these new ideas, these new philosophies, these new ways of thinking are always going to be met with resistance. So anything good is going to be met with resistance initially, at least by some people.
That's true.
And that's part of the game.
You really like Netflix, huh? You
I
keep bringing up Netflix. Men's on Netflix. What are you promoting Netflix?
No,
over
I
here?
just really love these shows. I get a lot from them.
I haven't had a Netflix in a while. I need to maybe re-engage.
I gotta say, there's some good, and you're not paying me to say this at all.
Man.
I do not have a show on Netflix.
Yet.
Well, yeah, I will.
Let's manifest.
My takeaway from Dwell was the fuck Lifetime that you snuck in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
And I mean that with all my heart. Yeah.
Right.
Because they denied you a show or a deal that you had, but that was the
They
question.
They gave us a deal.
To go with, like, because of the topic of sex, how sensitive it is and freedom of speech, what other opportunities you fell because of what you do? Or
all of them. Yeah.
Corinne
and I have made, how the TV industry, the business works is, when you have an idea that's hot, everybody wants to either do a reality show about you or have you sign with their production company or their network to do a television show. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just because everybody else, it's the FOMO of like, well, everyone else likes this and I don't really get it. But for Corrine and I, if you don't get us, we're never going to work with you. That's absolutely antithetical to everything we're about.
Corrine Fisher.
So, yeah. Just an
Your
amazing
partner.
human being. Yeah. One of the most unique human beings that you'll ever meet, and one of the most genuinely confident people that exists. I think that's this extinct population.
How did you guys meet?
Internship. I interned for her company in college.
Which company?
Liebman Entertainment. She was a junior talent manager.
Oh, okay.
So I was in college and interned for her.
Wow.
That's how we met. Yeah, and I graduated and I invited her to a stand-up show.
You were doing open mics or something?
No, I did a bringer. That was my first ever show.
What's
was
that?
A bringer. You pay. It's such a ripoff.
Oh, right.
But I did them for over a year. Kind of. You beg your friends who are also broke like you to pay $25 plus 2 drinks to see you bomb for 5 minutes on stage, and maybe Jim Gaffigan will show up and make it all okay, make it all worth it. I invited her to one of my bringer shows, and she was like, "Oh, we should do.
Is that a
be
thing?
A duo." Oh yeah,
I never heard of that.
Pay to play.
Bringer shows
Versus open mics. So why is that better?
It's totally separate. So open mics, the audience is comedians, but a bringer show, you can get like Gotham Comedy Club.
Bringer, like bring.
Yeah, like you couldn't do time unless you brought at least 5 people to pay to see the show.
So
but a lot of
$50.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
you're not paying it, but you're begging your friends to do it, and you're not good yet. I didn't understand that open mics were the first step before that. Yeah.
Wow, you were going ahead of yourself a little bit.
Oh, that's the story of my life.
But that worked out because then you guys developed this comedy duo called Sorry About Last Night. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And then what was how did building that go? Like, did you
really
guys...
well? Yeah, Corrine always had this theory of like you have an A project and a B project. And A project for both of us was stand up, but our B project was this comedy duo. So we would produce shows. The one thing we have in common is our fucked up sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So we really like going hard after a joke or committing to a bit. So we produced a lot of shows. Some sketch shows, we filmed some sketches, and then Guys We Fucked was one of the ideas that Corrine pitched me as part of our comedy duo stuff.
Well, she's like blessed your life big time, huh?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Golden ticket.
That's a smart concept to have an A project and a B project.
Yeah. She's very smart, and because she comes from the world of talent management, she knew exactly how to develop talent. But she was like, I want to do this for myself. I don't want to waste this on other people.
Right.
I'm like, all right, let's do it.
But she was a comedian as well?
She started stand up shortly after I did it. Yeah.
Oh, so you inspired her as well. So you probably blessed her life too.
Yeah, I don't know. She did stand up once. She said when she was 16, she like tried it.
She had to say that.
She did one. No,
I'm
but
just
she did
kidding.
do.
I'm just joking.
No, she did do one woman shows that I would go see. That were basically like stand up monologue type shows.
Drama though, more.
No, comedy. One woman.
Because when you say like one woman, all of a sudden it's dramedy. When you say like then the otherwise it's comedy.
Yeah, I guess when I think of one woman shows, I think of stand up comedy. I think of like Judy Gold and Whoopi Goldberg did her one woman shows.
That's
so
true.
that's what I
Fair
think
enough. Yeah. What do you think like the difference is between people that are drawn to mostly comedy versus people that are drawn to mostly drama as someone who's drawn to both?
I think a lot of times with comedy, I feel like it's two camps of either something's fucked up with you and you don't know about it yet and you just want to laugh at really dark things. That's a really humor is a release. Especially if you've experienced something like PTSD, it's really valuable to your psyche to laugh at to laugh, and especially if you can laugh at darker stuff, if it resonates with you. So that, and then I also just think people like laughing. No one hates laughing.
Right.
Everyone loves it, and so I think everyone has their own version of what makes them laugh. But yeah, I mean, I've never met anybody that hates comedy.
Right.
You can't have
My mother.
life without it. Really?
She doesn't. I've never.
But something has to be funny to her.
She doesn't like comedy.
Yeah, she's my mother.
But does she like
weird
laughing?
like that.
She's not a laughing.
She doesn't
don't
like
laugh.
laughing either.
Well, that's a bigger issue.
Wow.
Yeah, no comedy on my mother. So my family's weird like that. I love comedy.
Yeah, my family liked laughing, and we would laugh at a lot of. Sometimes shit's going so bad that all you have to do is make fun of it and laugh.
Do you think you got a lot of your nature from your mom in terms of like?
Yeah, I think goofiness. My mom's very goofy and
Yeah.
silly. Definitely got that from her. But I'm a good mixture of my mom and my father because my dad is very sarcastic, and so I have both because those are the two people that raised me.
Yeah.
I had a question about me and him I remember when Russell Brand moved to Luminary, and you guys are now on Luminary, right?
Yep.
So did you? Because most podcasts are free and Luminary charges. Did the viewership go up, down, stay the same? How was that transferred to a actually paid platform?
Yeah. The viewership went down. Whenever you're doing a paid platform,
Right.
you're going to lose the majority of your audience. But that decision took a year for us to make. But one of the things about it was when you monetize art that was not previously monetized, people get really pissed.
Right.
But at that time, I was such a people pleaser. So I would take it so personally if someone got upset. And really, what's at the core of that is, Krystyna, they love your show so much. Maybe they're not in a position to be able to afford it. And they're pissed, and that's okay. You don't have to get upset. But privacy was really big. It's a weird thing
Privacy, why?
to have your diary out for the world to listen to. And when it gets to the point where it does affect your sex and dating life, where people will try to date people because you've dated them, and you have all the evidence of, and it's like, ugh, that's weird.
Yeah, but they could still pay for Luminary and see the same.
They
your
could, but
privacy's
most of them don't.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
an
We
extra-
knew
It's
that.
an extra step.
If you're this,
Right.
basically, if you're listening to us on Luminary, you really want to be there, and it made the podcast fun to do again for Corrine and I. It's fun to do again now.
Really?
Ever since we've been on Luminary, we just feel safe. Like, you're not gonna,
That makes sense.
some Joe Schmo off the street who just met me isn't gonna be able to have access to my
History.
diary for the last 2 years.
Well, they can if they have like what, $15 a month.
Yes,
How
and
much-
but that to me says that you're not in it for that.
Yeah,
you actually are in it for, and also I'm so confident in the product that Corrine and I put out.
It says to
and
me
I know
they're a
it's
dedicated stalker is what it says to me.
Yeah, and honestly, I respect that.
I respect
That's okay.
I respect
dedicated
that. At least I
stalker
got your
is better than
$15.
just your run of the mill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. How long have you been on that one, Luminary?
Like a year and a half, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there pressure from them, like for numbers, or they don't really care?
No, they don't. They're happy with us. That's all I know. I'm like, cool.
That's great.
And
I was curious about the
they were
paid.
also like, hey, we're gonna give you a paycheck that's big to do exactly what you've been doing, and we just want you to keep doing it. And it's like, thank you.
That's awesome.
Like the CEO, the head of Luminary, we met with him a bunch of times before we considered, are we selling out? Are we, whatever. All of the things that you consider that mean a lot to us. Integrity means a lot to us. And we thought about all of the repercussions, all of the reactions that we could get. And we're like, nope, this is a really good decision. And we're very happy that we made it.
How have the numbers changed?
They've gone down because most people don't want to pay.
Right.
But
significantly or?
I actually don't know. They're supposed to give their numbers to us and they don't. But
your back catalog's still on iTunes.
Yeah. So people are still discovering us, and we're still selling out on the road. So
that's great.
it doesn't really.
So you take the pod on the road or the comedy duo on the road? And
comedy duo. We co-headline.
I see.
Yeah, we each do half-hour stand-up sets.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then we do.
And then you do a combo.
Yeah, our live shows are really special. Because our audience is very special because they will talk about very intimate things about their life. Yeah. In front of a large group of people, and it's very healing. It's funny. It's healing.
You've taught them all.
Because we're honest. Because we're honest.
In a way, you guys are healers.
Yeah, but it's through the lens of comedy, which I really like.
Yeah,
because that's the most relatable way you can get to people.
Well, what's that thing they say? Like, you tell people the truth, they'll kill you. But if you tell people the truth and make them laugh, they'll like let it slide.
They're not only that, they will follow you till. For the end of your career.
How hard is it to maintain the relationship with Corrine?
Corrine.
Sorry, Corrine.
Like Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Not hard at all. We just put work into it.
Yeah.
It's not like something you can just go, I hope this goes well. You have to actually make an effort to.
And what are some of the things you do for people that want to make relationships work?
Setting boundaries, which she was the one who initially did that. And I was like, wait, that's mean. And I eventually learned, like, no, that boundaries are very good and healthy for both people.
Right.
If we're talking about
what's
work.
What's an example of that, setting boundaries?
So, hey, if it's work related, don't text me. Let's do email. We're going to email each other for anything work related so that I'm not out with my friends. And then all of a sudden I'm getting 12 text messages. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Brilliant, man.
She's very smart.
Fuck's sake, that's smart.
And it's a tiny thing that goes a long fucking way.
Hey,
and
I asked to have her on. Yeah.
Start email. No, start emailing me.
Yeah, well,
it's a good boundary.
You don't email.
Don't text me.
You email him, you never get a reply.
Sometimes you don't get a reply from me either. But in that case, she'll text me like, check your email. I'm like, okay, cool.
What's another example?
Another one that I guess more on our end or both of our ends. We make a point to have fun together. So because our work is really fun, but when we're on the road, we love kitschy shit. We love doing the tourist thing. I want to see the biggest ball of twine. I want to see all this weird shit.
Cave under.
We love like this is where Jean-Benet Ramsey was murdered, or like we'll go to the Jean-Benet Ramsey house. We're in Colorado. We make a point to have fun.
Yeah, that's nurturing.
And not just when it feels too work, and it's not enjoyable anymore. We know we need to go to the American Dream Mall in New Jersey and ride electronic animals for 15 minutes and go shopping.
That's awesome.
We need to do that.
That's great. What was it like when, because that was the first big hit you had really was that podcast, right? So when the Daily Beast wrote that article and blew you guys up and everything. Tell me what that felt like.
Terrifying. I had so many panic attacks. Oh, it was scary because we had this idea. Obviously, you want people to listen, but we talked as if no one was going to listen. So we were really, really, really honest. And then it was just like, for a while, it felt like too many people were listening, which I know sounds weird, but when you're being so personal,
sounds right,
and you're just being really honest, and then you're getting texts from friends and family like, was this about me? Was this? And you're like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted this to be.
Right.
So, but then you just forces you out of your comfort zone, and then the dust settles, and then you arrange your life the way that is best for you.
How so?
what are your own boundaries? You have to interrogate, what are my boundaries? What are my morals? What are things that are way too much to say or disrespectful to say about somebody?
Yeah.
What are things that it's my experience, and if you wanted a better story about yourself, why didn't, you shouldn't have been an asshole.
Right.
I don't feel bad about that. And coming to terms with just being honest about the way I've been treated by other people, when to say their name, when to not, it's not just navigating all that. I was 24 when we started the podcast.
Oh, really?
I was a kid.
Yeah,
I still feel like a kid.
Yeah.
But so just learning and growing in front of people is hard.
Right. Yeah. How many times have you gone away from the podcast and thought, fuck, I feel like shit about that. I shouldn't.
A lot in the beginning, and now never.
And then how did you cope with that?
First I ignored it, or I would just take Adderall or smoke weed and forget about it, or just pretend everything's okay.
I've done that routine before too.
Right. Not helpful.
Not recommending.
No, not at all. And then you realize, I can sit with myself and interrogate my own feelings and sit with my feelings. That honestly, this is all very new for me, being this like emotionally healthy.
Right.
So you get there eventually.
Yeah. Got a question?
Yeah, of course I do.
I know you do.
On the so
what's your childhood trauma? Let's go.
No, but your road is, and don't take this the wrong way. So so I don't know where you stand on the hierarchy of comedy, for a lack of better way to put it. So most comedians who have podcasts were already established comedians, and that's where they got the name.
We got one from a podcast. We did it backwards.
Right. So you did it backwards. So do other comedians are like, oh, she didn't earn it. She was famous on a podcast, and now she's trying to do comedy? Or did you feel you paid your dues in the comedy world, like the Comedy Cellar? Do you play there? Did you have to audition?
Right.
Just that whole
I haven't auditioned
dynamic.
for the Comedy Cellar yet, but
You haven't.
But I hold that place. I love stand up.
Right.
I love stand up. That's the excitement, is how do I get good at stand up? That's something my manager, Rick Dorfman, is my manager. He's a stand up. He manages a lot of stand up comics. And he's like, if you are good at stand up, you can fall back on that until the day you die. And no one can take that away from you. And you got an audience. Now you're selling out comedy clubs before you're good enough to sell out comedy clubs in terms of
real.
like, it's not like you toured the country like a Nikki Glazer started when she was 19 on the road, and she fucking got good and did the reps the glamorous way. Right. But by the time she got a podcast, she was a very established stand-up. So that kind of stuff, and realizing like my manager's really honest with me, which I really appreciate. And so understanding that, and then being able to do the reps on the road. The podcast is what got us into all the comedy clubs. And now we're regulars at these major, comedy clubs around the country, that I've always wanted to be on the road. Doing the road I really love it. I'm spoiled though, because I get to do it with Corrine, so we have fun. But in terms of anybody saying anything, I don't know if they do. I'm sure, but I don't really give a shit, because if that's what you're focusing on, that's you gotta
you headline
reroute.
comedy clubs as well.
Yeah. We've been headlining all the main comedy clubs across the country for the last 4 years. And we've been selling out. We sold out the Wilbur Theater 3 times, 1,100 seats.
Man.
And I'm like,
insane.
I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking proud of that.
You should be.
I don't know anyone else who did it backwards like that and was successful.
Right.
That's like, it's not an
It's
easy
rare.
feat.
Yeah, it's rare. But very proud to have that lane.
Yeah.
And not have that be like kind of a rare lane.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Where are your favorite places to go?
Oh, to tour?
Yeah.
I love the Wilbur in Boston. Comedy Works, one of the best clubs ever.
Where's that?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, okay.
We're
not all insiders over here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Come on.
We know the Comedy Cellar.
We know the Comedy Cellar.
The Comedy Cellar's great. The Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Our first show there we sold out the main room.
Wow.
And I was like, and all the comics in LA, like Joe Rogan, Whitney, all these comics were like, who's that? And I'm like, yes.
All right.
Clout, baby. That's all I've wanted.
Yeah.
Clout.
And a little bit of love and tenderness.
Oh, always.
Clout and loving tenderness.
Yeah, it's possible to have both.
It is possible. Anyway, keep going. What are the...
American Comedy Company in San Diego I really love. San Francisco, Cobb's Comedy Club. Fucking
Love San Francisco.
The
too.
Helium chains, Philly Helium. I'm touring a bunch coming up. I'm doing Portland, Oregon, Helium in
You're
Philly.
doing City Winery.
City Winery.
April
19th.
April
19th.
Oh, I
No,
got
I'm doing the
two
19th.
City Wineries
Yes.
coming up.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So wait, do your folks come out and see you when you go?
So they used to come see me do bringer shows before Guys We Fuck, before all that.
Oh.
And they were horrified. One, I wasn't good yet, but two, I would talk about things with no tact that were personal.
And they would come to New York to see it?
Yeah, they were supportive.
Wow.
Very supportive.
Yeah.
And then I would talk about my mom's depression in a way that
Wasn't funny.
it was, but she saw it as I'm bullying her, and that just
Right.
wasn't what was going on. And I didn't understand that she was taking everything personally, that maybe she shouldn't. I just thought, oh my God, if my mom's upset at me, I did something bad and I'm a bad person.
Right.
So that took a whole fucking long time to figure out. But when the first time Corrine and I sold out the Wilbur Theater, it was that 1,100 seat theater, I was like, oh, I'm fucking bringing my mom and dad to
flying
that. They're sitting in the center. And like one of the best moments of my life was when they got to see us walk out on stage to like uproarious applause. The relationship we have with the listeners is really fucking, I'm so honored to be able to have that, because not only do you make them laugh, but you make them laugh about and be okay with something terrible that's happened to them.
Things
And
they were ashamed of.
yeah.
That's
And
deep.
that's a deep seated
Very, very
bond.
deep, man.
Yeah.
For-
And it's a great way to connect with somebody.
Good for you. You're a shaman.
Thank you.
Let's dance around a fire right now.
Yeah. Do some ayahuasca.
Secret shaman. You ever done that?
Ayahuasca?
Yeah.
No.
Microdose? Anything?
No, I talked to the devil on mushrooms once.
So mega dose.
I did too much
Mega
mushrooms.
dose.
I wouldn't say micro, because it was more than that.
Right.
I had an ecstasy phase.
Well, clearly.
month or two.
We saw that on Dwell.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, there was real ecstasy in that. I was like, I can actually take it. And the director was like, no, don't actually take it.
I would have made a similar suggestion in that space.
Yeah.
What did the devil say when you talked to him?
Oh boy, just a lot
Asking
of
for a
pain
friend.
and trauma. Yeah. You'll never get out.
Yeah.
You're a terrible person.
Right.
Yeah, all that stuff. But I felt a lot
Sounds
lighter
like
after
the same
it.
devil I've talked to.
Yeah, it felt like I got my heart broken, the worst it's ever been broken, for 12 hours straight.
Wow.
Like the when you're so heartbroken that you ache
Yeah.
and your body hurts and you want to puke. That's how bad it felt. Lonely terror.
Yeah, psychedelics can aid in the work you're doing for sure. I mean, they can push you towards things that you wouldn't necessarily get to otherwise.
Yep. Set and setting, though, I understand now, is important.
Big time.
Says the man who took mushrooms for 6 months.
Me?
Oh, mushrooms are awesome. I think
well,
mushrooms
I microdose. I like to microdose.
I want to try that. I want to try that.
That's actually just a good idea. I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor, by the way, and do not take my advice. But like for me, it's just something that elevates, lifts a little bit, taps you a little bit more into your emotions. Just, when I do it, my way of doing it is I'll like take a little microdose and then I'll usually go on a run and listen to a mantra.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll do it in the morning. It's not at all a party situation. It
Right,
actually
right.
helps take you out of dumb addictions like smoking and stuff like that. It actually helps with that. So it's
Oh, maybe I should do that, because I really want to quit smoking cigarettes.
it'll help with that. It's set and setting is right with that too, because if you it's all how you approach it. Like if you approach it in the morning and then you go run and you think of it as, now I'm going to do yoga and I'm going to like do a meditation, and then by the time you like then start doing your work and stuff, it's kind of just worn off anyway, or you don't even notice.
Right, you don't
it.
even feel it, because I think I've
barely
taken
feel
I
it.
have micro doses of mushrooms at my apartment, and I think I've taken them once, and I'm like, did that even do anything? But I know that it's really integral for like PTSD and stuff, and and the fact that you don't even feel it is appealing, because I don't want to be fucked up during the day.
Right, you don't want to necessarily have a journey. I used to take like massive doses, but now I barely ever do. Like if ever, it's more always a microdose situation for me.
How do you take mushrooms? Asking for a friend?
You just eat
Chocolate,
It's
or you
just-
just eat the actual
chew it?
mushrooms. Yeah,
You just chew, or you could even swallow it. I think it'll work.
Yeah.
Well, you probably
Oh yeah,
should
you
chew
could. They
it.
can grind it up. You could put it in like a pill, like a vitamin.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
It's really fun. My favorite was the half dose. Like it wasn't a full dose, but it wasn't a micro dose. It was in between those.
Yeah.
You just laugh. It's really fun and enjoyable.
I think that's what I mean by microdose. No, I'm just
3/4 dose.
But if you do it with LSD after like
I've never done LSD.
it's a similar thing if you get good LSD, but like if you do it with LSD, you microdose. By the time, if you keep doing it, you'll soon be taking like a half hit, and it's a microdose because you barely feel it because you build a resistance to it. But mushrooms are now legal in Colorado or something, and the research on them, like proper medical people are kind of now approving of them as like, this is actually really helpful.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and it's the drug laws. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's wild. They push pills, but then you can't do natural stuff.
It's crazy. And then they subvert the information. Like fasting, for instance. It's so healing. It's so amazing. But it's like, they call it like quacky, or whatever.
Or medical doctors don't get trained on nutrition unless they're nutritionists. That's insane.
The hospitals feed their patients junk food.
Right.
It's like
it's insane.
It's totally insane. They're just processed sugar.
So
and
do
it's like,
cafeterias at schools, by the way.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we wonder, we're jailing all these people that like act out their pain and violence. And it's like, what other choice did they have?
And they're being driven nuts by their diet as well. Like depression, all that kind of stuff is so much about nutrition and all that stuff too. And you go into most doctors and they just don't even, it's not even a question.
Yeah. And the fact that certain foods are illegal in other countries, when we started touring internationally in the UK and even Canada McDonald's, I could eat a chicken wrap at Canada McDonald's and I have the most sensitive stomach. And when in New York or in the United States, I cannot eat a damn thing from McDonald's. Maybe the French fries if I have an empty stomach. But like
the fries are good.
I'm barreled over in pain.
Their iced coffee is good too.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's crazy. It's a weird world because it's like, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but it does feel like people, there is a conspiracy against people finding their full own personal power. Like in order for you to arrive at that place, you have to do a lot of digging, a lot of personal development. You have to crash and burn like 100 times. I mean, and
you're encouraged overall to be part of the group.
Yeah, porn is another example of that. It's just like it creates shame in people. It makes them smaller. For men, like they spill their seed, and there's a lot of power in that if you can hold on to that. Stuff like that. It's like, but that kind of information is like thought to be, now you're just being crazy, like, and it's like, no, actually, it's all a big deal.
Yeah, and it's really nice, like the notion of like everyone has a podcast now. I'm like, I'm so glad because then on these podcasts, people are talking about important things to talk about that are not getting attention, like all the things you just said. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the pushback.
Yes, exactly.
So
there always will be pushback.
Hopefully pushback will be allowed.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't silence all pushback.
Hopefully.
Because there's it's spooky. I mean, it's at least spooky. And there is a historical precedent for this kind of stuff.
Yep.
That leads to really, really
new ideas are dangerous, are treated as dangerous, which is wild.
Like thought police type stuff, groupthink taking over, all that. It's like, it's spooky, man. I don't want to be again, I'm not
but there's so many things like the government's there's so many things about history that you're like, and you would have said that was a conspiracy theory had you not known that factually actually happened, where FBI sent a letter to Martin Luther King convincing him to commit suicide. Right. Because we tapped your phones and we know you're cheating. That could be a conspiracy, but that's true. Yeah. That was true. And you're like, okay, now what's real?
Right. And now that we know they have all of our information and all of our web histories and everything like that, it's like that is it. And even that information being out there is like, promoting people's to become more shameful, more small, not like immersed in their own power and force.
Yep.
It's weird times.
It's weird.
But
it's
fun times.
I mean, it's great.
I'm having a good time.
No, this is the best time, by the way.
I'm having a great time.
I love it.
Yeah. Just dig inside yourself.
Also, all the information available to us. No, right now it's in a zone.
You can become an expert at something by just going on the internet and learning about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So are you thinking about like heading to Austin where that comedy boom is set to go off with like Chappelle and Rogan, and they're talking about and Tim Dillon?
Yeah, I love Tim.
I love
I'm
him.
so proud of him.
He's amazing.
He's great. I love watching him get huge. It's so fun. Well, I mean, because we did
he says
we
whatever
did
the
mics today.
fuck
We
he
did open
wants.
mics together. We kind of came up similar times.
Oh, really? You knew him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were all friends. He was a New York guy.
What was he like?
Great. Wonderful.
Before he became famous and all full of himself.
No.
Just joking.
No, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work in luxury real estate. I used to be an assistant, and he like genuinely is he like knows who Dolly Lenz is, she's like sells like $20 million apartments, And so I only knew that because I was an assistant to a broker who did all. And so when we first started talking,
he was manifesting back then.
He just really is into the bougie life, and I love that. I think not everybody is into that and being unapologetic about it, and he's like a gay Republican. That's amazing. Like I love.
Is he a Republican? He seems down the
middle.
middle.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't know.
With that thing.
Yeah, sorry. Because sometimes he says things to push buttons. Like I think he said one of his Patreon levels was to raise money to get Ghislaine Maxwell out of jail. And I'm like, that's just something he would say. That's really funny.
No, the other one he said, I don't know. I mean, no, he says whatever he wants.
I know, and I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he can deal with the repercussions. If people want to get mad at what he says, okay, that's okay. You can get mad. How much power am I going to give the people that get mad? And I have to interrogate. What are my morals and values? Where does comedy come into my morals and values? It's individual for everybody.
Right.
And so.
And where is it for you?
Well, I was such a people pleaser that anytime I would say anything that would upset somebody, I would get really upset and defensive.
Mm-hmm.
I got mad defensive.
Isn't that wild? Like, because your spirit got all confused and was like, wait, I'm upset because you hate me, but now I'm also defensive.
I'm defensive, but
my
then I'm
true
like,
self agrees with what I did.
I know.
I don't know what's going on.
Right. It really forces you to reckon with yourself.
Yeah.
When someone like tries to cancel you or call you out or say whatever, there's a lot of stuff to consider. A lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. That pain maybe that they're throwing on you is coming from a real place.
Right.
But did you cause it? No. But it's a whole shit show.
Yeah. So where do you land on it? Where have you landed?
I land on if I say something that really gets to a person and they tell me, I can tell when they tell me to try and make me feel bad. Like there's some manipulation behind it. Like I feel bad, so I want you to feel bad. Now I can tell when that happens. And but I don't get defensive. I just go, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Just say that. I'm sorry you feel that way, because I used to say that. Right. And then it's like, oh, that's kind of a douchey thing to say.
Well, but what if you aren't sorry?
Right. I don't want to apologize if I'm not sorry.
I see the douchey side of saying I'm sorry you feel that way, but also I see the.
But if I didn't really intend that,
I am sorry you feel that way.
I don't take responsibility for triggering somebody.
Right. So
because that wasn't my intention. Right?
I wouldn't really be sorry, but I would really be sorry they feel that way.
Exactly. So right. Totally. And I don't like. I have. And I've done enough with my life, and I've immersed myself in situations and talking to people and conversations where I feel like I have a really good grasp on the human experience as much as I can from my own point of view. And so I know myself and I know where I'm coming from, so I can just handle those conversations so much better. Oh my God, I would get so defensive, and then I would dig myself into a hole. And then I would say something that I didn't understand was very offensive, like a racially offensive or something. And I'm like, I didn't know that was bad. I'm so sorry. And then I'm coming from this place of I just want everybody around me to be happy. That's not a good place to come from either. There's just so much
you guys dealt with that on the podcast.
Yeah,
you had a big scandal.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it a scandal.
An episode you did on sleeping with black guys or something. There was something you were called
Corinne
out
mentioned
for.
something.
You were called racist.
Yeah. And so, but then that was coming at a time where the woman who basically she isolated a clip of our podcast from 2014. She isolated a soundbite and she just included that, and she didn't. And to me, I'm like, if you were actually concerned with, hey, Corrine and Krystyna, I feel like you're putting these ideas out that are very racially insensitive and you have no idea, or they're racist and you don't know. And here, so we've had those types of conversations with our listeners. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had one with those remarks. A listener emailed us and said she was very disappointed, and we talked about it and we addressed it.
Because why? Because you identified them as black guys, or what?
No, I don't.
You don't want to go into
Corinne
it.
said, I forget what she.
If you don't want to go into it,
I don't really want to go into it because I'm not. I don't want to like dig
Google
up this.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, well, but it's also I'm not trying to hide from it either. I just like I never know like when to keep scraping the wound. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, and then that woman who isolated that clip didn't care to hear from us, didn't care what we had to say. And I woke up, I saw it happen on Twitter live. I was like, 100 notifications. And I was like, wait, I was backstage with Corrine and I was like, wait, Corrine, this girl isolated a clip from 5 years ago. Holy shit. And Corinne's like, it's fine. And then the next day,
is she a G?
She's
amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
She is gangster. She is like, wow.
But then the next day, we're like front page of BuzzFeed, front page. Because
really?
Yeah.
So it was good for you guys, probably.
No. Oh, I hated it. I wanted to kill myself.
Oh, really?
I've never wanted to kill myself so hard.
Because people pleaser thing got like
the
skin got peeled off the people pleaser.
And then you understand, here's the dark side. One of the dark sides of the web.
Yeah.
That's when we got death threats and rape threats.
Yeah.
So we said something. Someone on the podcast said something that was not cool. You don't say that anymore. And we understand that. But back then we didn't know, and if we knew, we wouldn't have said that.
Right.
So it's a weird thing to grapple with. And then when you get called out for it from years ago, and then all you can see is like rape and death threats, you're like, well, that's not called for. But the place that I was in when that happened, I was so goddamn sensitive.
It's so weird.
I wanted to kill myself so bad because I was like, this is terrible and I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to navigate it.
Right. It's so weird for somebody to be morally outraged and then make a rape threat. That's like
that, and that's when I had somebody tweet me a photo of my apartment building, and I was like, okay,
wow,
that's not fair. That's not right. That's not. But
it's crazy.
But you learn to deal with it. It makes you a stronger person because you're like, I was a sensitive, spineless fuck when I started Guys We Fucked, and now I am not, but I'm also not heartless. I still have, because I'm very compassionate and very empathetic, and I still I've maintained those sides of myself. Thank God. I'm not like a hardened piece of shit.
How do you think that happened though? Like this, or what goes on internally? Because you still must have
interrogate your own morals and values.
Okay.
And you go, am I going to let these people affect me? Is it smart to? When am I the picture? The thing that really got me is people were telling me where I lived. They were like DMing me my address, and they were correct. And I was like, okay, all right, we gotta. And then you're like, I live alone. I live by myself. So I was like, this is not good. I gotta figure this out. But I felt bad for myself. I was like, and you just go through all the things. And then when you get defensive and you say something even more insensitive and you don't understand, you're like, oh my God. And you realize you're just coming from this defensive place. That's not a human place to be coming from. Mm-hmm. So being able to come out of that is just makes you a better fucking person.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah. Do you read comments now or not?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
yeah.
You do? And you
because now because first too, I know not a lot of comics are concerned about this, which is great. Honestly, I'm jealous. But if I upset somebody, I want to know. And then it's up to me to go, do I want to change how I talk? Do I want to change what I say, or do I not? But I'm interested in feedback like that. Just curious to see how you're perceived. So I love reading comments, and now we don't get a lot of negative ones, but if we do, they're just funny to me because now, like I said earlier, I know all this stuff about childhood trauma, and it's like, oh, your wounds are showing. I know exactly what's happening.
I
know the mechanisms at play. Yeah, and
from Eckhart
it's
Tolle.
human.
You ever listen to Eckhart Tolle?
Oh yeah.
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 He's great. Power of Now.
Yes. Great author.
And the pain body, the theory is like, we carry around these pain bodies, so like my pain body could make your pain body react. But like you've gotten to the place where somebody's pain body isn't making your pain body react anymore.
Yeah, I gotta read. What book is that?
I'm not sure. I've heard him talk.
It's a good theory.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting. because it separates the pain out from you, kind of like in a metacognitive way, where
you are not your pain.
You're observing it. It's over here. It's not. You're not identifying with it.
Yeah.
And he talks about the fact that people sometimes, their pain body takes them out. Like they kill themselves over their pain body.
Yep, seen that a bunch.
Yeah. It's sad when you think about it, how unnecessary that is.
Yeah. That's why I like that people are talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the only thing that I think is negative, or one of the things that I see as negative from a comic perspective or a person's perspective about like the cancel culture, because it's like, I mean, Cosby should he's a rapist. Like,
of course,
like that's not canceled. That's something else.
That's something else.
But I think that you just have to not be afraid to talk about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's important to talk about race, gender equality, marriage, like LGBT equality. Like, you gotta talk about this stuff and exchange ideas and go and listen to each other and ask questions. So, hopefully that won't deter people from saying things. And then if you are called out, go, okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be a space in between, because
Right.
nowadays it's you're either a communist or a Nazi,
Right.
or a racist, and it's like.
And I'm really interested in this idea of like, what is good redemption? If you rape somebody,
Right.
when will we forgive you? When
Right.
should you be forgiven? I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions, but I think like a topic, my like cause is sexual assault. I really, it's something we learned from Guys Who Fuck, that so many people were raped or molested as a child. It's insane how many people have experienced sexual assault or molestation as a kid. Right. And it's like one of the reasons why this is some secret is because no one talks about it. And it's like, can we talk about it? And when someone like Louis C.K. jerks off in front of a comics at a festival, and I want to talk about it.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Like, what makes sense? Should his specials get taken down? Is that right? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Like,
Right.
I just wish we could just talk about stuff.
I wish he would come on the podcast so we could talk.
I wanted to
about
interview
that.
him, so I really wanted to interview him, because
Me
I'm like,
too.
why can't we have these? But a chick
Open
needs to interview
discussion.
him. I think a woman needs to interview him. A
Right.
female comic needs to interview him, because then that's, to me, there's some representation. There's like, but that's an
other side
important
is present.
discussion.
What would you
Yeah.
say to him?
I don't know. I'd have to
Or
really,
what would
I'd have
you
to really
ask?
think about it. Like,
what would be one of your questions?
oh God. Where the thing that I still go, fuck you, dude, is that Dave, I think it was David Becky, his manager, was blacklisting those women that were talking about it, and I'm
Is
like,
that right?
fuck you. That's what I read in the New York Times piece.
That's the other thing, you can never know if it's true or not.
Right, and you don't. But you choose what you believe, but
Yeah.
you have to know that, this is a belief. Did he know? Like, I'd ask him stuff like that, but I'd also be curious. Like,
That would be a good question.
Yeah.
That would be a good way to start the interview.
Yeah. Well, I probably wouldn't start
No,
there.
I know.
But I one of the things that I did.
That's where we're gonna start. Jim.
Yeah. So
No.
Louis, I heard.
Christina
Were you
said.
aware?
Yeah,
No,
Christina.
yeah, right.
Hutchinson.
Christina said we should ask you
You know her, Krystyna Hutchinson. Here's what she told me, bro.
But like I think Corinne and I are really good at having a way in with somebody and making them feel really comfortable, but like meaning it.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've started doing since we did Guys We Fucked, because I'm realizing so many people were raped, because we get emails every day from somebody who was raped, is I took a training course at Bellevue Hospital to be a part of a victim advocate. An advocate program where if somebody goes to the ER at Bellevue Hospital who has been sexually assaulted or experienced domestic violence, one of these advocates volunteer their time to come in. They do 12-hour shifts, and they're basically like, hey, here are all your options. If you want me to talk to the cops, I will. If you want me to talk to the doctors, I will. If you want me to go fuck off, I will. These are, if you get a DNA kit, you don't have to press charges. They keep your kit for all of these things. Like, so we were
Amazing. And
part
you're
of
doing that.
Well, the volunteer program I finished, and then Corona happened. So that we never really got the opportunity, but we went through the training, and we had people who were helped by having an advocate from the course would come and talk about domestic violence and talk about things that why would you stay with someone who hits you? Valid question. But there's a reason for that you hear somebody actually tell their story and you're like, oh, sorry that I judged you. Yeah. So,
well, we've all stayed in abusive relationships.
Yeah. Every person has.
It's lonely out there, and you're insecure and shame-based.
And you don't even know that what you're doing sometimes.
Also, it's not just abuse. It's all sweet, mean cycle that trauma bonds you.
Oh,
and
trauma
it's love bombing and the
so
love
fun.
bombing and the sex.
I learned about love bombing like a year ago. I'm like, damn, I wish public school sex ed is so terrible.
They need an update.
But they need a bunch of updates. But one of them is like emotional manipulation in a relationship or a sexual relationship. You never hear that.
That's the NPD stuff. Yeah. That's a great rabbit hole for you.
Yeah.
Narcissistic NPD. Just like put in NPD on YouTube.
Okay.
And a world's going to open up.
Nice. Ooh, I'm excited.
And Lisa A. Romano is going to be one of the people that pop up because she's a big one.
I want to go. Yeah.
In that world.
That's awesome.
You'll love that.
Yeah. I'm going to go home and Google now.
Yeah. So what's the future like? You
man.
got your movie The Tower.
Yeah, I'm filming that in the spring. Very excited.
That's very exciting. Who's directing that?
Ali Gianni is I met her doing a project at Business Insider, and I just met her and this guy Ben, and they just had great attitudes, and they were very arty people. They're younger than me, so they had like a different perspective. And I was like, after we did the show at Business Insider, I'm like, can we make something that we really want to make together? And they're like, yeah. So she's directing that, and touring, going on the road.
And you didn't say anything about Austin. What do you think? Do you think that's going to be the new comedy explosion over there?
Maybe that would be cool. I love. Austin.
Chappelle, Rogan.
Is Chappelle moving to Austin?
Tim Dillon. I mean, I don't think he's moving there, but he's there with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan's going to get a bunch of clubs and.
That's awesome. That's really exciting to see. So maybe I fly back and forth to there.
What's the guy who's like? Kill Tony.
Tony. Yeah, I love Tony. Brian Redband. Yeah.
Tony Ferguson, is that his name?
No.
Tony something.
Oh my God, why am
Tony
I blanking on his name? He has a great car.
Kill Tony. He's funny.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name.
Don't know.
You should be Googling,
I do know
bro.
him. I do know him.
Tony?
Kill Tony. It'll come right up.
The comic.
That's your job, dude. Jeez. He's over there going, I don't know him. His phone's sitting right there.
Kill Tony.
I mean, we're doing a podcast over here.
Come on now.
Kill Tony.
You're going to say it and I'm going to go, yeah.
Tony. All right.
The name doesn't come up right. Tony.
Hinchcliffe. I got it before.
I saw it and you said it.
You did.
My brain got
subconscious.
Okay. Just so you know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listings before his name comes up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a man of anonymity.
Right. I'm gonna edit that to make it seem seamless.
So I don't know what else maybe we've covered it all. What do you think, Krystyna
Covered
Hutchinson?
a lot. Yeah.
Hutchinson, Hutch.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
This was a really awesome
What do you
episode.
do? What are you, a musician?
I'm a musician
Okay.
and a painter.
Oh, cool.
And a podcaster.
Is this your painting?
Yeah, I did that.
Cool.
I did that.
And for those of you watching, this beautiful hoodie is Joe's art.
I have a clothing line.
And it's available
That's really
at
nice.
shopjosepharthur.com.
shopjosepharthur.com.
Ooh, that's a really good. Oh, wow. I just have a line of merch. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is Joe's art.
I really like the design.
Thank you.
I love clothes.
shopjosepharthur.com.
Shopjosepharthur.com. This is an XL.
And Joe's playing City Winery April 11th and April 20th.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll invite you to the show.
I'd love to go. Yeah.
Okay.
I have merch. I have this mug, the concept that I came up with. It's the Fox News logo, and underneath it says "Kidnapped my parents." It says Fox News kidnapped my parents t-shirts and mugs.
That's
and then
funny.
I have merch that says "Congrats on not killing yourself," and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Life is hard.
Yeah.
I love
that
mug.
I relate to that because it is like, what do you like? Last question is like, what do you think's given you so much courage and strength because you've overcome so much and gone so far?
Going to the deep, dark depths of my soul and be experiencing the pain for years that comes with. That's not. I wish I was told, because I'm impatient, but that's something I've learned lately. That it's gonna get worse before it gets better. and experiencing it getting worse for like 2 years, mentally and emotionally, breaking up with my ex-boyfriend of 7 years that I was codependent on, not talking to my ex-best friend of 15 years, not talking to my parents, and really just sitting with myself and going, oh, what do I think and how do I feel? That's really been the saving grace. That and meditation, cannot recommend it enough. It'll only make your life a lot better.
I meditated today. I love it.
Yep, me
I
too.
do the chakra. Sometimes I do this guided chakra one where I go through all my chakras.
Yep, I have sound bowls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's great.
So it turns out we're hippies.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I want to buy a house in Woodstock.
For
Like, I'm
conclusion,
Yeah.
two
But
hippies.
I want a house in Woodstock or thereabouts.
Right.
Could be Catskill. I'm not pretentious.
Love Catskill.
But
Adirondacks
but I
are
also
nice.
want a brownstone in Brooklyn because I like Tim Dillon. I want to live large.
Yeah, and you should want to live
Hallelujah.
large.
Let's get there.
I want a view. I live on the first floor. My apartment.
Yeah.
My apartment's amazing. I've lived there for 10, 12 years. But I'm like dreaming about like a 20th floor. I couldn't imagine.
47.
Yeah.
47th floor. Like, what? I wouldn't leave my house. I'd be like, you don't even need art on your wall. I mean, I have art on my wall, but yeah.
I want a brownstone, like a green Lambo, a Tesla
Yeah.
truck,
Ooh.
a family car,
Ooh.
5 kids,
Wow.
loving wife.
Get what you want.
Loving wife.
Yeah, that's great.
and
I
a
wanna-
private jet. What's wrong?
Yeah,
What's
nothing,
wrong?
nothing. I want to buy an apartment building and turn it into an immersive theater experience.
Wow.
Where every floor is a different theme, and they have an individual apartments that you can just freely go in, and just have this immersive theater where a mixture of sound and light and art and actors.
Your idea is so much more psychedelic than mine.
Yeah, and I haven't done
Wow.
that many psychedelics, but I'm
I
like,
know, I'm
you don't have
disappointed in myself.
to really get the experience.
I was going to paint the green Lambo, all kinds of weird shit
Yeah,
like this.
yeah, that's
So
great.
It was a little psychedelic.
That's psychedelic. This is fucking
Yeah.
psychedelic.
All right. Thank you for coming. What's your socials?
It's at Krystyna Hutch, but it's Krystyna. It's spelled that way. Hutch.
Your parents did
A
that.
lot of whys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look into NFTs.
NFTs. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna.
I don't know if you've heard of them yet, but
I have.
It's the
rough
future.
vaguely, but yeah.
Man,
It's
you
the
went an
future.
hour and 50 without saying NFTs. Congratulations.
well, I did it at the end. I snuck
Right,
it
yeah.
in. I didn't want to bore you, Ehud. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you,
Ehud.
Joe.
Subscribe
Christina.
and like and sign up to our
ShopJosephArthur.com.
Patreon and shopjosepharthur.com. You can also get this there.
Ooh, nice.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.